or something. Typical. Everything was going as usual as it was. The free smarters strolling through the city and soon heading towards the yo-yo needy. Fries was occupied tending to his potato garden while a few others hung around to keep him company. Coiny and Nickel chatted with Fries about the day and the chilly temperatures it brought, while the scientists were fixing the wall teleporter they brought from the museum. Everyone was busy with their day, except one. In the far outskirts of the city was a luminescent garden overflowing with life and glowing with beauty. Ever since they all arrived there, she found the spot to be perfect for her garden. Years of hard work has brought her such a lively and stunning garden. Though that was not how she felt. The owner of the garden? Pin. She was pacing back and forth, her arms and hands trembling, and her breathing heavy and anxious. The garden used to produce such a soft and soothing feeling to Pin that would usually help her calm down in moments like these. She wasn't someone who would get scared easily. No, she was loud and proud. A true leader. A true leader at heart, but still, leaders do fall apart and need a moment to recollect themselves and fix up their mistakes. But Pin was falling apart. A few weeks back, a heathenish nightmare woke her from her peaceful slumber. She was standing in front of her garden, feeling strangely jubilant and powerful, such as a queen preparing for a celebration. The sky was as red as blood, with the dark, gloomy clouds drifting slowly through the heavy air. In her hands was a small cracked pot with dirt and a few small seeds inside. Also, in the middle of these contents stood a hand. A cold, lifeless hand with drops of blood on each side on the sides. Wrapped around the wrist was a small tag, which once had a name scribbled onto it, but was soon drenched in blood, with the grains of dirt on top. Around the garden there was a dark, heavy fog, though as Pin approached it, it vanished, revealing a garden of pure hands that have been removed from their owners. Lifeless fingers dangled downwards like a weeping willow's branches as the bodies of the owner's hands were placed in multiple areas of the garden. Small tombstones were placed next to the corpses, revealing their names and what their purpose in the garden is. Pin walked through the garden, reading all the small tombstones. Flower brings a bit of beauty to the garden. Rocky, a stool. Match helps let the plants grow upright instead of slouched. She continued making her way through the garden until she arrived to a small corner with the hole buried into the dirt. The tombstone beside the open hole gleamed with the dark sunlight that hit it. There it read the name, Coiny. Pin's eyes snapped open as she jolted upright from her bed, letting out a startled gasp. Her face was pale and flushed, beds of sweat dripping from her face. Her eyes were bloodshot, and soon they began to fill with tears. She breathed quickly as she looked around the small room. Darkness stuffed the entire room. The only light coming from the moon outside. The room was cool, as if the nightly autumn air was giving her a loose hug. The door stood slightly ajar, revealing the darkness of the hallway, where another door could be seen. The slow ticking of a clock was the only thing that broke the silence of the night. She gently got out of bed and left her bedroom, her hands still trembling and cold to the touch. She walked down the hall and soon was standing in front of an orange door colored. Orange-colored door, She hesitantly wrapped her hand around the knob and turned it, opening the door gently. As it opened, she took a peek inside to the object underneath the covers of his bed, letting out loud snores that echoed in the room. It was Coiny. He was fast asleep, his arms wrapped around one of his pillows. A few wrappers from candy he found in the city lied around the room, as well as a few pieces of treasure he found. It was odd, seeing such a disheveled mess like this coming from him, but he'll clean it up soon. Pin stood there for a moment before slowly shutting the door and letting out a deep sigh of relief. She trudged back to her bedroom, convincing herself that it was just a crazy dream and it wasn't real. But why couldn't she fall asleep afterwards? Why did the same nightmare reoccur again 2 weeks later? The nightmare continued to rise repeatedly, and every day it ate away inside Pin's mind. It got so bad to the point where she couldn't even wake up. She finally stopped pacing around the garden as she plopped down on her knees on the soft bed of soil. She took a deep breath and looked around the garden. Okay, she mumbled. Whatever that dream is, it isn't real. It's just a dream. It's just fake. It's not real. It won't happen. She hesitated towards the end of her sentence. Many questions still lingered in her mind. Why hands? Why the bodies? Why not just plants? She sighed and stood up as she began to walk back and forth, back towards the city. I just hope that I can get sleep tonight, she whispered under her breath. Okay, so that's the first part of this. It's actually pretty short, but yeah. So what I think this is supposed to be about is that Pin has like some garden or something, and she has nightmares about how there's like corpses in her garden, and she's having trouble sleeping because of these nightmares. But yeah. Anyways.